What is up, Internet? I'm here today with Joshua and Stephanie Blalock, and just off camera, my buddy Tyler Perea, co-hosting today, making sure we get all the questions right and things like that. He's gonna keep us flowing good because that's my dog. Um, Today's content matter. There's gonna be some violence, So if you're easily triggered about things like that, be mindful of that. I wouldn't let kids watch everything that we're gonna have on today, and then there's going to be a couple videos that we show you that can be disturbing depending on who you are. So keep that in mind, and we appreciate you tuning in. Josh and Stephanie, thank y'all for coming.
Thank you for having
Thank you,
us.
sir. Glad to be here.
It's nice to meet you guys.
You too, sir.
So we had discussed it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to show a video for the people at home. There's going to be about 3 videos that you get to see. They won't see them, but they know what they are because they've been circulating. 2 are going to be of the fight, and then one's going to be of the gun, the question about that video on TikTok, and we're going to give y'all a chance to expand on that. I'm going to go ahead and play the first video of the fight at the school, Sylvania High School. Y'all won't hear much. I'll kind of talk y'all through it. We're waiting on that to come through. But it's going. So he is sitting at his desk, and this time he was told they were getting into it already.
It was a verbal.
Okay.
From my understanding, the guy that's standing there had already gotten into a fight with another kid. And that's where the teacher is out in the hall with the other child.
Oh, okay. So what was him and your son arguing about?
You can't really understand them. All you can hear is my son say, "I'm not scared of you."
It was pretty insanely jumbled.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to cut that one. What I'm going to do is I am also going to show there is a video on TikTok with, what's your son's name? Y'all want to, it's up to you. It's your son. I can't say it.
Caden.
Okay. He does have a gun. I assume yours? Legal?
It's his.
It's his, legally owned?
It's there for his protection while he's home alone.
Okay.
But that nigga damn for real. Let a nigga block the windows down, but I like jumping out. You clap first, I'm still coming, bitch. We just don't spark it out. Run the opposition down and knock your fucking tosses out. Look, bro.
Some super inappropriate lyrics for sure. A lot of kids do listen to some rap music and things like that. What would your thoughts be on the content of the music and the gun flashing around the way he is? You can both touch on it, one or the other can. While you are doing that, I'm going to show the other angle of the video of the fight.
Sure. What was going on there, come to find out, I didn't know he posted anything. And I got a phone call from some people who said, why did he change his profile picture? So I went in and inquired what was going on, why he done what he did. He said, I really didn't give it a lot of thought. He said, I just thought it was cool, and I posted it up there, and I advised him. I said, on these social media, so forth, I said, they're anti-gun, son. You can't post those things. They'll kick you right off. I said, even though you well within the right to do what you've done as far as posting free will, I said, you shouldn't have posted anything such as that because a lot of people find it offensive. He said, well, I never really thought about it that way.
Which at the time, we just thought it was a Facebook profile picture. We did not know that it was a TikTok, Instagram video.
Right.
Yeah.
That came later.
We got, let's see, when was it? 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago. Anyways, a couple of nights ago, we got knocked on the door. A couple of Dekalb County Sheriff's Office made contact with us, and they wanted to speak with Caden regarding that post, that video that he had done.
Wanted to make sure he was okay, and if
want to
we
make sure he's
knew about the
okay,
video.
who, what, where, why, and when. So I spoke with them, and they advised that we have done nothing wrong. We haven't threatened anyone, or he hasn't threatened anyone.
But also, I have to ask. I assume you got on to him.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
He don't have no guns right now.
Yeah, like what are you talking? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I assume you were like, hey, that's the silliest thing in the world you could do.
Well, it was
I
a
was highly
little more
upset.
stern than that.
Yeah.
I said, especially after this falling situation with you being assaulted, I said, son, that don't look good. He said, well, it wasn't nothing to do with that. And I said, well, even though it wasn't, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, he said, I didn't threaten nobody. He said, I didn't point it at. He's like, I didn't point the video towards anybody. He said, I just thought it was cool. And I said, yeah, but with everything, even if there wasn't everything going on, you still don't do that. That's wrong.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
I get it. I was a kid once. I went to boot camp. I thought I was a gangster. I thought I was big stuff, and I wasn't ever at all. And I thought it'd be cool to play with a gun and stuff. Really, that shouldn't be happening at all. Y'all did nip that in the bud. And he, at the end, the video doesn't say he's threatening anybody. So there is a fact of that.
And he usually does good if it's just him, but he had another buddy at the house. And you know how which is not making it right by no means, but when there's 2 buddies, they talk and
they was watching making rap videos.
Don't
I got
the best decisions together. Yeah.
Do y'all know a JT Shankles?
No.
Okay. He said, and I'll go piece by piece. He said, just to nip this in the bud right off the bat, one policy was followed. Go ahead. you can answer to that. He said policy was followed.
No, sir, it was not.
Can you elaborate on it?
Sure, I can read it to you right here.
Yeah, go ahead, boss man.
And it's under the laws too, Alabama state law.
Yes, sir.
16-1-24, reporting of property damage, physical assault on students and school personnel, legislative intent and personalities. And it does say under subsection 1, incident, any act of physical violence with or without a weapon, trespass, vandalism, or property damage which occurs on school property or during school activities or on school property at any other time in such incident can be reasonably related to school functions, provided that the incidents involving only students in the same school wherein a dangerous weapon and involved and no bodily injury required medical attention occurs shall not be required to reported as provided herein. Now, he had been directed to the nurse and he did have physical injuries. So that doesn't pertain to that particular statement right there. And only it says in subsection C under that article, it says principal shall file a report within 72 hours with the superintendent of education of any incident of which they have knowledge. A copy of the report shall also be furnished to members of the school board and the county sheriff by the superintendent of education. Teachers and other school employees shall immediately report to the principal any incident of which they have known. Said teacher and employee shall assist the principal in the preparation of the report required under subsection C of this section. Subsection E states any superintendent of education, principal, teacher, or employee who violates these provisions under this section by failure to file a required report shall be guilty of a Class C misdemeanor.
All right. JT, if you'd like to respond, I mean, if you want to call in and talk at any time, do that. But I'm going to keep going through your questions. The second question he asked, he said, is it okay to bash people on Facebook when school personnel can't defend themselves?
Ain't no bashing to it. It's stating the facts and the truth.
Amen. He said 3, there is no investigation.
Well, there is.
We have been doing this and working with the Board of Education since this incident happened, which was November the 16th. We were giving the school board time to do their investigation before we took further steps.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Before we started getting it out in the public, we give them an opportunity to see this out, see this through, investigate it, and I'm still waiting on a response.
That's what they asked us to do. The school board asked us to let them see what they could do first.
Okay. Now the fourth, go ahead.
So was there a report filed ever?
Yes, 9 days after that event took place, I seen out John Seals, the school resource officer at Sylvania High School, and I advised and then inquired whether it was reported or not. He said, sir, I knew nothing about your son being involved in anything. And I said, well, I'm not surprised. So I went ahead and filled out that report, incident offense report. He filed it under the offense of assault 3rd degree that was committed on my son. So there's the proof that took place in the school. And that's also proof that Heath Kirby
No report
did
was
not
made.
report nothing.
So the law never knew.
No,
No, sir.
not till I notified him.
And
9
we're
days later.
and we're going to touch base on all that more, but there is one. He's got 2 more questions, and then we'll keep going. One of the big questions that I've heard a lot, not big question, comment that I've seen a lot, is everybody saying, well, it is election season. It is election season. It is strange that it came out now. But you did kind of touch on that a little bit about why it just now came out. You did give them the opportunity.
Right.
Go ahead and clear that up a little more, just so they know that you didn't. Did you wait until, again, we've met twice now. This is time number 2.
Yes, sir.
Did you wait until election season on purpose, or what was the word? Give us a timeline so that you can clear that out if possible.
This situation and offense and all these violations was started on November the 16th. That was the day that my son was assaulted. And it was also the day that the offender was also permitted to play football, and a week prior after that. 9 days went by and no report was completed by Kirby. He did not inform his supervisor. He did not inform the school resource officer. And he then was under the subsection E under that code that I just told you a moment ago.
And that's written law.
It is.
That's not something you pull. That's written law.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It's accepted into this through the Dekalb County Board of Education Code of Conduct policy, and also the State Board of Education Code of Conduct policy.
So we just pulled these off the internet under the DeKalb County website, the Board of Education website.
So that's what they're
anybody
going
can
by.
look.
This is
Yes.
their material, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So something should have been said.
And I will say that when we brought this to the board, we never met with the superintendent. He took himself out. He did say because of it being an election year and because him being my running mate, I'm taking myself out of this.
That's
He
fair.
recused himself.
Yes. So we dealt
Cool.
with
Conflict of
Brian
interest.
Thomas, which is over the board. So we never even, until the board meeting, I had never even met the superintendent till
No.
that night.
Neither have I spoke with anyone.
Another question that everyone it's same as JT, but also Chance Hodges. They both said, shouldn't the problem be with the board if all policies are followed within the school? But you're saying for sure that
Heath Kirby.
Heath Kirby followed none. He didn't
None.
report it.
Right.
Did they get paddled that day? Did anyone get ISS?
I don't know.
We know no ISS.
I have
and
no
he was
idea.
not suspended.
See, here's the thing
He'd have
about.
told y'all if he got paddled.
Well, not necessarily because when
Your son, I mean.
Oh no, our son just got sent home.
But that boy didn't get sent home.
Not I don't know. Here's the thing with that situation. It's not one of these things that you can opt out and choose to follow the legal law and the protocol SOP policies. Juvenile rights are a sacred protected right. And if you violate those, you've actually committed something very bad and it's not going to be good on your behalf. And you can't pick and choose when to do your job and when not to do your job. You're required to do it. You're required to be a leader. You're required to show these people and be a direction and a good path, not put football
And the
over
s-
juvenile rights.
And the same punishments for everybody, whether they play sports or not.
Oh, 100%, 100% on that. And y'all aren't the first family that said they've had trouble with that.
Mhm.
I had one lady that's actually scared to come on. Her son played football. He was pretty good at it. He went to Fort Payne though, and he was taking spot away from coach's kid or coach's buddy's kids and stuff. So they started roughing him up. They tore his back up. They tore his head up. They just really busted that kid up real bad. And then he got hurt in the game and they just threw him away. But they're scared to come on because they don't want repercussions and stuff,
Since
which
all
I don't
this
think
has
is right.
happened, we have had several people reach out having the same story or worse than what we're dealing with.
And only that, the poor leadership that the Sylvania High School has, being directed by Heath Kirby and failure to do his job legally. My child has been taken out and doing virtual
Yes.
school now. So
Now,
I
the
think that's the
have-
best call.
we have him to
superintendent
thank
did
for that.
I will say Wayne Lyles did do that. He asked me how it was, and I said, we've my son has lost all of his friends because 90-something% of them was on the football team. And you work out together, you play sports together. A lot of times you're gonna stick together.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he's like, well, we'll just let him go to virtual. So he's been doing virtual for about 2 weeks now.
How does he seem? Does he seem more calm, relaxed, cool
Oh,
at
yeah.
home? No issues?
better
No.
grades. He's
He's
doing a
not
whole
fighting y'all
lot.
being smart, nothing.
No,
He just
and
Well, see,
that's
he
the
was
thing about
the-
this kid is he's never really done any of that. The main thing was boys will be boys. It was over a girl. Is what
Yeah,
started.
well, it was
all
what we
this.
heard.
Is what
Okay.
we were told.
well.
Um,
Give us what you were told.
Well, what we were told is the girl that is dating I don't know how I would the child in the video.
Yeah.
That hit our kid. She was dating him. They broke up. She started dating our son.
Okay.
And now she's back with this guy again.
Oh yeah. Well, that's normal though. I knew when I
So-
went to school at Ider, there was a. I'm not gonna say any names because again we were kids, yada yada. But it was normal. You're gonna date a few people in high school and stuff, but also you're gonna fight a few people if you
Yeah.
date a few people in high school.
Yeah.
But now the problem that y'all ran into, it's not so much that they fought, right?
No, it was.
That's what I was going to say. The problem's not the fight. Kids are going to fight, and these kids, this is not the first time we've had problems with this child because they've known each other for years. So, 1 week they'll want to fight. The next week he's coming to the house hanging out. It's not the problem that they fought.
Me and Kane Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they would have wanted to fight, I wish they could have done it at a park or somewhere where my son would have had a fighting chance and not just sitting at a desk. But our problem is the way the school board handled it.
Mhm.
And that's what we're trying to make known.
Not only that, sir, if Mr. Kirby would have performed his job duties and done it within the legal parameters that he should have and been a leader in this boy that made this choice to do this, and I hold no will toward him or
No.
Kirby. I'm just pointing out the truth in the matter, the facts. This boy didn't get help. If he would have done his job, he could have sought out help for this boy. He was full of rage, anger, and he was mad. He needed leadership and guidance and direction. He didn't get that. He was just told, good job, go play ball,
Well, the way
basically.
the way we look at it is if a child does something wrong, this was his second altercation that day. Instead of taking The other child that was hurt, which I understand, take him out. I don't know how hurt he was. I don't know about that.
Yeah, we
fight.
haven't heard anything about that.
You should have took both kids out, or at least the one that's got the aggression out. That way there's not another fight that happens. Because of the teacher being out in the hallway, there was no adult supervision, and this is what happened. Which, like I said, kids are going to fight. That's not the problem. Boys especially are going to fight.
Yeah.
It's just the way the school board had handled it.
Ashley Reese, Eddie Pettyjohn asked, how can the current standing superintendent remove himself from this situation? I think y'all touched on that.
Yeah.
And maybe
The
you don't know
conflict of
exactly, but
interest.
it's a conflict of interest. That's
Yeah.
how he
And
did that.
did do that.
Kirby is running opposed to Lyles for the superintendent candidacy.
Mhm.
And that is a conflict of interest. And that's the reason that he delegated this into the assistant, which would be Dr. Brian Thomas. And he's the one who is overseeing and investigating and in charge of this
And he has
situation.
been nothing but wonderful.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
we feel like we've been heard, and
Yeah.
I
So
mean-
far, everything seems to be fine. I would just like to have a little bit, more of a time frame as to their final decision in this matter. And I'm looking to see what that's going to be.
I got you. You know Tommy Harrison?
No, sir.
He said the superintendent is supposed to be told of all fights in DeKalb County. Resource officer was on campus. That's in capital letters. And then he said, why are you not in law enforcement anymore? So it's two things. He said, he said the superintendent is supposed to be told of all fights in DeKalb County, ? And then the next question was, why are you not in law enforcement anymore? And I know
Yes.
they don't.
Yes. I don't care to tell anybody that wants to know. I would probably still be there doing that job
Mhm.
if I could, but I've had to have major back surgery. I've had 2 titanium rods, 8 screws, and 4 of my lower vertebrae fused in my lower back, sir.
I got you.
That's the reason. And I always said, if I couldn't do the job 100% in the right mindset and the right frame to be there to help people, then I would step down and I would bow out and I would allow somebody else to come in that could be there to do the job that needed to be done.
yeah, his
Amen.
doctor would not release him to go back to work. He said, you are not physically able to do your job anymore.
And he did ask, is the superintendent supposed to be told of all fights in DeKalb County? Is that how it read?
Yes, it says in
Yes.
that
Yeah,
paper,
according
yes.
to the pack. Yeah,
Under
according.
bullying, hazing, harassment, and intimidation. But not only that, that's the clause for bullying, hazing, intimidation, harassment, in which the offense was assault third, sir, not just bullying. It was assault third. So that's a more offensive offense.
I got you. Now, some people are asking. I got asked a few times. Was your son doing any bullying? Does it, like you said, they were buddies already?
Yeah.
But Connie Rowell asked, what about the bullying going on before this? Was there bullying one way or the other, or like way they were buddies? Or
Other than them having words over the girl,
Like I said, up till that day that he rushed him.
so to be fair, are y'all really more mad at the kid or more mad at,
No, I'm not
at
mad at the
No.
kid.
Kirby for
it's
like
Kirby. It's
yeah.
always been, and that's why when we got
the way it was handled?
Exactly.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Kids are kids,
Because
I'm
that
not-
child, not only my child didn't get the situation handled that it should have been, but the other one didn't either, because he could have got that boy some help. And I out of genuine care and concern, I hope that he finds it.
I mean, that
I
boy's
gotcha.
been to our house. We had him over for
Okay.
birthdays.
Did y'all ever
and-
get a meeting with Heath Kirby? Have y'all ever
I've
met with him?
contacted him on the phone 2 times, and I told him that I was not going to stand for his decision in this matter twice.
Mhm.
And his response to me was, I'm sorry you don't agree with my decision. Even though he was unlawful and unethical in his decision, he stood by his decision. There was no misunderstanding or miscommunication. There was nothing like that. He made it clear and apparent that he made that choice and he's going to stick to it. So I told him that I wasn't going to stand by, that he was too close, that he needed to back up and let somebody else come in and investigate this. And nobody did. So I followed up with John Sills 9 days after that. And then that's where it all started.
Yeah, if he wouldn't have done what he did, it would have been completely swept under the rug, and nobody would have even known about it.
So you reached out to Kirby way before Lyles
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
or Seals. I mean, you reached out to Kirby way before Seals.
Yeah,
Yes.
9 days after that offense took place, I reached out to Sills.
Hang on 1 second. Hey, you're on the Alabama Grapevine. Go ahead.
Braxton, how are you?
Hello, hello.
I just had a question. So if it's
Hang on,
not being,
hang on. Now you're on here. Go ahead.
I just had a question. So if it's not being handled, have they went up the chain, like
Yes.
to the school board now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We
so
have sat down with Lyles and Dr. Brian Thomas. Also, I have sat down with Kirby in I think it was 3 days before the 25th to try to see if we could resolve any what the word they said was miscommunication or misunderstanding to see if we could find a neutral ground and resolve this problem before it went in front of the board. And there was no way to resolve this problem.
And then we went before the board on January the 25th.
I told him the only way that it could be resolved at that time was for him to be immediately terminated right then and right there and go from that spot right there from where we was. And they excused him at that time. And so we went with the board meeting on the 25th. It went into executive session. I spoke with all the board members, and I made sure they understand the severity of the offenses, that he's left them open and exposed to lawsuits because of his failure to perform his job duties, that he did not report this serious situation and violated my son's juvenile rights because he's required to.
So I can't go into detail about my personal situation or my past situation, but if it's not being handled by the school board, I would keep going up. The state superintendent, they're really, really nice people, and I would keep going up until it's handled.
Yes, ma'am. I'm absolutely going to do that, but I'm giving them an opportunity, like I give Kirby an opportunity. I told him twice that I wasn't going to stand for it, and he made his choice and decision. And so now I only feel that it's, respectful, it's honorable to give them an opportunity to do their job as well. And once I hear what their final decision is, we'll determine what steps I take next.
Okay. Well, good luck, guys. I hope everything goes well.
Thank you
Thank
for calling
you.
in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. See you, buddy. Tell our family we said hey. Ashley Reese Eddie Pettyjohn says, have you heard anything from the other parents of minors being exposed on social media or Way 31? As far as us, just to get my clarity on my end, I shared a video of y'all's kid getting into a physical altercation and a video of his TikTok that I had permission to do.
Yes.
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 We're good, and I'm good.
Yes.
But have you heard anything as far as other families saying my kid's on there?
Yes.
Things like that. What's that been like?
I
know you said some negativity.
It's going to
You-
be like it. I can't think of any one person that wants to sit back and allow their child to be exposed in a manner of which it does not look honorable. It does not look lawful or intentional. That it is intentional. There's no way that you can prove otherwise. The video speaks for itself. But yeah, there has been some pretty foul conversations with especially one person, and I'm not going to call them out at this time. I'm going to keep that under my hat until it needs to. But I hope they find and they search themselves and they realize that it's not nothing about their child. I've not spoke about their child.
You haven't said anything rude to me
I've
about the
not
kid.
mentioned that child's name, and I won't.
So
I
we've
just
not-
want that child to get the help that he needs, and he's not, by Kirby not doing his job too.
We've not posted the child's name anywhere, and if anybody has messaged us, we've not, because the video is kind of blurred. You can't really tell who the kid is. But
Can't tell who any kids are.
right. But now
They're just, some people are just very angry about the situation. If it is regarding their son or their nephew or whatever that relationship may be, I can understand supporting your family. But in this situation, use your words. When you put your hands on somebody, it becomes
It's
a
different.
criminal offense.
We have freedom of speech for sure. We can say whatever we want.
We posted the videos, and like I said, there was no names, but
I have the messages that I can prove and I can show you, and it will not be taken out of context. It will not be twisted or contorted to better my angle, because I'm not coming at no angle. I'm exposing the truth. That's it.
I got you. Andrea Brown, and then I've got a little bit I want to touch on, said, this isn't the only child in DeKalb County that got in a fight or assaulted and never anything was done about it. My child was assaulted by 2 girls in January of last year, by 2 girls she didn't even know. So what is the protocol for bullying and fighting? Because I tried for well over a month to get something done, because I was told because the 2 were juveniles and they cannot disclose anything.
Well, that's right. And like I said, you can't pick and choose when you're going to enforce juvenile rights and laws. It needs to be constant 24/7, and you need to be a supervisor and a leader and direct these kids in the way that they should be directed, not put football first. I'm not sure if that's person's situation, circumstances, or so forth, and I'm not sure who she reached out to. But if she reached out to the same person that was in charge of overseeing this situation at the time, then that person probably has violated that child's rights as well. And I would advise anybody that has any questions regarding and concerning the same situation that we're undergoing, they need to seek out the DeKalb County Board of Education and talk to Dr. Brian Thomas as well.
But I will say that when we went for our meeting before the school board, Brian Thomas did tell us that if you go to, and we didn't know this, if you go to the Board of Education website, there is actually a form you can print out that says your child has been bullied and turn it in. It is a
I didn't know
legal
that.
Well,
form. We didn't
and you're
either.
supposed to, and if you have information, or if you find something offensive that needs to be handled properly, you're supposed to be directed by the leader and the leadership of the school
They were supposed to advise of
to the
this form.
follow chain of command in the process. You're supposed to fill this out, and most people are not getting that direction because, you know, it could be devastating to that person.
So I don't want anybody else to go through what we had to, or to feel like their kid is not getting the justice that they need. So if anybody is listening that's went through this, there is a form on the DeKalb County Board of Education website. I don't exactly know where it's at, but they did show it to me. I have seen it, and they printed it out for us that states that our child has been bullied.
You want to take you could put it up there, and people they'll know what it is.
Now, I got in a few fights in school, and almost every time I was getting what I'll do is we'll share this at some point.
Yeah, there it is.
And almost every time I got in a fight, me and the other person were very quickly taken to the principal's office, very quickly suspended. You know,
Yes,
we
sir.
were suspended. We were sent to A school, or we were suspended. You know,
Yes, sir.
So you're saying that's not the case at all, and you believe it was because the kid plays football. Is he pretty good at football, or are we stretching? He's
No,
pretty
he's
good at
very
football.
good.
So like you're close enough to the kid to say he's good at football.
He's
Kid
great.
actually
He's
used to
an
play
awesome
football
player.
with him.
Great athlete.
He's a good kid. He just made a bad choice.
Okay.
Decision.
So tell me about how y'all found everything out. When did y'all first find out there was an issue that was going to be like this? Tell us when y'all found out the fight happened, when you got the video, first thoughts, things like that.
Well, we tried to give it a day or two to calm down and rationally.
Well, now, how'd you get the video? How did you first find out the fight
It
happened?
was going around 5 minutes after the fight
I
took
was going to say,
place.
how we found out was our kid called us or texted us and said, "Hey, I just got in a fight with this child. You're going to have to come get me from school."
Oh, okay.
I was informed by the assistant principal to come pick up my child that he was involved in an altercation physically, and I made contact with Kirby. Kirby said a bunch of things. And when I spoke with him on the phone after I picked up my son, I just assumed that he was going to do the right thing and follow the process that needed to be done. And
Was your son suspended or sent home for that day?
he was sent home for that day due to his injuries.
And then he got to go. He got to go back to school the next day.
Well, I believe it was. I'm not sure what day that was, but he did go to school to the next day that they had open.
I believe what's made all this so confusing is I think it happened on the Friday right before Thanksgiving break.
Okay.
So since nothing was done that Friday, there's a whole week that went by that these kids were not at school.
Yeah.
And then when they come back to school on Monday, just act like it didn't happen.
Yeah. Save the paperwork, maybe.
Yeah, but my kid had 2 black eyes and a busted lip. I mean, there was no denying that it happened.
Where was the teacher at?
Outside in the hallway with the other child. If you'll watch the videos, and you can actually hear the kids hollering for the teacher.
And it takes her a minute to get in there. What happened was there was 2 fights happening in the same classroom in the same day there was 3 people. There was 2 victims and an offender in that situation. The offender was left in the classroom unattended with no teacher. I believe it was Miss Moses' class, and I think she was outside dealing with separating one of the victims from the offender, and the offender was kind of still mad, upset.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to come down right away.
Yeah,
But
and then, of
they
course-
should have removed him from the classroom and let him calm down, have a cool down period. But instead, they left him in there unsupervised, and then he said something to my kid.
And
My
then, of
kid
course, our kid
responded
pops
back.
off. "I'm not scared of you." You
Yeah,
know,
so,
So she had a lot on her plate.
she did.
She
right
did.
now. Okay.
She did, yes. But we feel like she should have took the offender out as well. When you're still that aggravated and that,
Mm-hmm.
you should have removed him from the situation. That way, no other altercations would have happened, because that left the whole class unattended.
Yeah. And one kid angry, just strutting, rah,
Yeah.
losing
Well,
his mind in there.
The teacher that was across the room or beside, she said that she teaches 3rd grade, and she said it scared her kids so bad they thought it was a school shooting because of all the deaths that were being
That's
slammed
awful.
around.
That's awful.
Yes.
That's a horrible thing.
And that's something they should never hear.
I homeschool my kids now because I do think I know teachers have a hard job. I get it and all that, but also I think they're undertrained on a lot of stuff.
They
And
are.
in the event of this wasn't a tragedy, right? Like
Right.
it's
Nobody
awful
lost
that it
their life.
happened.
Right.
Nothing like that happened.
Right.
But in this situation, they had a hard time even handling that.
Yes.
I don't even want to risk that with my kids. Hang on. Do you know Brody Hurst? Hang on, Miss. We're gonna get to Brody next. Miss Connie says, Connie Rowell says, "I'm missing what happened previously months before the fight. Was there any sign of a buildup or?"
I have no idea.
Your son wouldn't say nothing.
No.
They weren't back and forth on
They
Facebook.
were just like they normally always are, back and forth, and good and kind of
Other
have a
than,
little
like I
tension,
said, my
and
son
good
was
and have a
dating
little
his
tension.
ex-girlfriend, and
Yeah.
of course, that's going to cause a bunch of, kid
Brody Hurst, y'all know Brody.
hmm
Brody said your son and his friend was going to jump the kid was in that classroom. That's who the teacher was dealing with, was your son's friend. You know anything about that? Or
No, I mean, it may have been my son's friend, but my son was in a desk, so
that's fair. That's
Maybe
fair.
it
I understand what you're saying. So you find out that your son's got in a fight. You found out by video first, or did you get to talk to your husband first?
actually, my child texted me and told me that he got in a fight.
Okay.
And then I was at work, so my husband went and picked him up, and then my son sent me a picture of his injuries.
We got to, I hate to cut you off. So how big is your son? Is your son very strong?
He's pretty strong, yes, sir.
Yes.
Like, does he seem like he bullies people ever?
No.
A lot of people, not a lot of people, but there's a few people that are convinced that they were stuff with this kid being picked on by them. They're convinced that he was being bullied first. The football player was being bullied first.
Well, let me say this: if you're a family member and you're supporting that side, I get where you're coming from.
Now, as far as I know, this lady's not connected unless she is.
A lot of these people that
Okay. Connie is?
a lot of these people that's messaged and called you have already reached out to us.
Oh, okay.
But let me say,
If that was the case, then he should have went to the principal and sought it out and advised him to take care of the situation, which I'm not saying that it was, because I'm not aware if there was or was not. I don't know, honestly.
and our kid's not perfect. He may have had.
He's got a little bit of mouth on him like any
Yeah.
other 16-year-old kid, and
does.
he's working on it.
But we've known this kid for years, and that's why we didn't think this was going to turn into anything, which, like I said, he was dating the boy's ex-girlfriend or whatever, but they've known each other for probably 8 years.
Brody, I can't keep reading your comments over and over for you. If you would like to call in, feel free to do that, but I can't keep reading them. But they are of the party that
Yes.
your son and that guy was getting ready to beat up the other kid. Brody, if you'd like to call in, feel free. Connie, you too. If you're a juvenile, you're on Facebook. I think you have to be 18 on Facebook, but I mean that's up to them. But again, if you want to call in and speak your piece, do that. I just can't keep reading everything.
And like I said, they are making it look like we're out for this child. That's not. I mean, we've not once said anything bad about the. I mean, there's.
All I'm doing is exposing
It's
what
the
happened in the
school board.
truth. And I mean, if the video is offensive, then I don't know what to tell you.
I get that. So once you found out, again, like I was saying earlier, every time I got in a fight in school, we were suspended. We were sent to A school. There was something like that happening. Y'all have said multiple times that you think he was not suspended because he is a football star on the team, the other child. What makes you think that?
Because Heath Kirby told me himself he did not want the other 30-something football players paying for the action of one.
Oof.
Yes, and he played football that night, and I have
And the next
mutual
game after that.
I've had mutual people reach out to me, and that was actually a conversation in the stands as this child was playing football. They're all saying, "How's he playing football with him getting in a fight this morning?"
And
that
that's
was
not
actually-
hearsay on what he said about the 35 students. I've got 2 other witnesses that was present when he said that. And it was by means of telecommunication.
On the cell phone or a text?
sir.
Go ahead, Tyler. Connie, if you'd like, Tyler, you can go ahead. Connie, if you'd like to, you can
Uh,
call in.
Do y'all know if the coach punished?
Well, the thing about
Wow.
the coach, I was advised by Kirby that he and the coach had an agreement and an understanding that he was the one who made the call for the boy to continue to play ball, that he handled the punishment of the football players. And it wasn't his choice, but it was.
And we've not reached out to the coach. I mean, he
Coach
don't even-
Van, I believe he's
I
at
was gonna say, he's not
Scottsboro
even at
City now.
Sylvania
Mhm.
anymore. We've not reached out to him because
Well, it's not the time for that yet. And depending on the investigation and the outcome during the Board of Education, then we may seek that out. But until
Van McAlpin?
Tyler Van.
Oh, okay, my bad. I got you. Sorry about that. Go ahead, guys. You said if it comes to it, we'll go to that. You said
I mean, it depends on what their outcome and their final say is on this matter. And it depends if I go to the state and then if I do something further from there.
I got you. You said as far as you know, your son wasn't paddled at all?
No.
That was a question from Connie. Connie, no, we're believing no one was paddled, but also I don't think paddling's normal for getting in a fight at school. As far as I know, it's ISS or A school, as far as I know.
Or suspension or,
Yeah.
All out removed. It just depends. I would say that would be up to the Dekalb County Board of Education to Wayne Lyles. That would be his choice decision. And then in this matter, in this situation case, it would be Brian Thomas because he's the one having to oversee this because of the conflict of interest.
I got you. All right. So no suspension, no paddling. Y'all find out about the fight. Give us the next step. When did you just give us you reached out to Heath Kirby, right? Tell us a little about how that conversation went and just give us the whole thing up to now. Tell us like how people's been talking to y'all, people's reactions, things like that.
Well, when I spoke with Kirby on the phone, like I said, I told him that I wasn't going to stand for it, that it was wrong, unlawful, unethical, and that he was too close. He needed to step back and let somebody else investigate it. He said, "What does that mean?" I said, "It means I'm going to the board now." And he advised me that he was well within the parameters of his policy and procedures. And that's what he's advising everybody, that everything was done right. And it was not. It clearly says right here, failure to report, you, sir, have committed a Class C misdemeanor.
But the day that you went and picked up our kid, did he not tell you also that our kid gave as good as he got?
He did make that statement. He said, your kid definitely gave as good as he got. But
Who said that?
Heath Kirby.
Okay.
But the videos don't lie. My kid didn't get nothing but assaulted. I mean, there's a difference in an honorable fight and a straight out assault.
That's what I'm saying. We have no problem with them fighting. Just go out and,
It's
fight
going to
until-
happen. We understand. It's the ball was dropped with Heath Kirby, and he needs to be held accountable. He needs to be held responsible, and I aim to see that just happen.
So what are you hoping is the end game? Obviously, y'all said you're not angry at the kid. They fought before, yada, yada, yada. That's a normal thing. What are you hoping for the end game on all this? What's the end goal?
To take Kirby out of this position and make sure he has no other means of being in education and over any other juvenile or child, because he can't perform his job duties. He don't need to seek higher education or a higher position. If he can't do his job as a principal, he don't need to be there. He don't need to be there because somebody else's kid is going to get done the same way, and he's going to look the other way.
And we don't know for sure that the football player was punished by the football coach, because what's probably most important to that football player is probably playing in the game, right?
See, I don't
Probably
know why
playing in the
he
game.
left. I still haven't talked to Coach Fan, but I've got a good idea because he was thrown under the bus. He was the one that was said that he made that call decision, not me.
To let him play.
Yes.
So he's left since this happened.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. Like 2 weeks ago is when we heard about it. Or
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, so he was either shown the door. He said, "I need to hit that door." You said you had reached out to a few other news outlets in the area. Can you tell us a little about how that went?
Way 31 is about the only one that has contacted us back. I believe, from my understanding, a lot of local news media press are biased on the fact of they support Kirby. And if you support that kind of person and situation and the way that he's handled and conducted himself, which I might add again, is illegal, then you need to search yourself and try to figure out what you're about, because that's not right at all.
And podcasts that want the truth. There's two sides. You shouldn't just hear one side. I mean, you shouldn't believe that one person's right and not want to hear. Like Way 31 did tell us they're going to contact the other side. They're going to contact Brian Thomas.
And we would totally sit down with the other side.
Yes.
Yeah. But a lot of these other people don't even want to talk to us because they are fully supporting and don't want to hear anything negative.
They're biased, in other words.
I understand. John Thompson, do y'all know him?
No.
Said your son and other boys had been picking on this kid for months before the fight happened. If you pick at a dog long enough, you'll get bit. Should handle the problem with your own son before blaming the school. If you would like to respond, feel free to do so.
Use your words. If you can't use your words, you take the next step and you go do the chain of command, and the process would be to report it.
And I will say this. This is the first altercation our son has ever been in. Ever. There's been other people at the school that's been in several altercations.
But if it's just, it's clear, obvious. There's been shown favoritism in this matter.
Your reputation will precede you is kind of what I'm getting at. If you ask how my son is, if my son is a bully, I've not been, until this incident's happened, nobody's reached out to me and said, hey, your son's bullying ours, or hey, we've got a problem with your son. Nobody has reached out at all.
And you'd almost prefer they did.
Yeah, if my son's a bully, let me know. We will fix that. I don't want my son bullying anybody.
That's not what we stand for.
No.
That's not what we believe. And I don't believe that he would. I think he would stand for what he believes. And I think he'd stand up for himself if somebody was saying or doing something to him And I would expect the same thing. But when you take it to the level that this wound up going to, that's when things change. You can use your words all day long.
Like,
You can
they're gonna-
report it to the principal
gonna
if you don't
fight.
feel like he's confident enough or capable enough to do the job that needs to be done, which I'm in the same boat that they would be if that's their process. Then you go to the assistant principal until you find somebody that will listen to you, that will take the situation seriously and resolve it accordingly.
Understood. What did Officer Seals say to you once y'all spoke?
He said he had no idea Caden was involved in anything whatsoever. He didn't know that he was assaulted. He said, I didn't know. I ain't seen no videos. I had no idea.
And that was something else that was brought up when we had our meeting before our actual board meeting. I had asked Brian Thomas, and I'll take that back. That was the first time we met Mr. Lyles, was 2 days before the board meeting. He was sitting in there, and they asked us, I said, have y'all seen the video? And Wayne Lyles looked and he said, there's a video. I said, oh yeah, there's several videos. And he asked Mr. Kirby, he said, did you see the video? And Mr. Kirby said, we looked online and couldn't find no videos. So I pulled them up and I showed it to all 3 of them. I said, there's multiple videos. So up until that day, it didn't look like anybody had seen the videos.
I believe 2 would be the correct answer on the videos. Maybe not multiple, but I know that there's 2 for sure.
Well, you meant multiple ways to find them, probably.
Yeah.
I had no problem finding them. You know, like I got what I got, but I just typed in
Yes.
Sylvania and fight, and
Yes.
sure enough, we're in the game.
I guess if you was doing your job and investigating it and doing it right, then you would.
And that's what I was
you,
getting at.
you
If
wouldn't
you
have
were
had a
looking
problem
for
with
it, you
locating
would-
it.
Yeah, and I've got Wi-Fi and a laptop at my house. I don't really work for the board. Go ahead.
Well, what did they say after they seen the videos?
Nothing.
They just started writing on their pad.
Yes.
That's it.
That was
Yes,
it.
And I at that meeting before the 25th, that little small, what I call preliminary meeting to see if we could find neutral ground to resolve this before it went in front of the board. I advised them. I said, look, I have proof of everything. This man did not do his job, and he's violated my son's juvenile rights, which has left you, the state, the school, exposed to a lawsuit because he's incapable and incompetent of doing his job. He don't need to seek out higher jobs. So you don't need to be running for superintendent for sure. And I'm not biased on him as far as that goes. I'm not between him and Wayne Lyles. Before this situation,
Yeah.
I had no idea who I was going to vote for.
Because we don't know.
But I
we
do
know
now.
Kirby, and we really don't know Lyles. We just seen what he's done in the previous years.
I would be remiss if I did not add while we're on here, and y'all have had some viewers today for sure, some with you, some against. We would like to invite Wayne Lyles and Heath Kirby on for a sit-down, face-to-face interview. Hard questions, not pre-screened. Right? If you're a politician and you're capable of answering questions, ethically, and we'd love to have you on. We think it'd be a great thing for the area. There's a lot of politicians in this area that are afraid to debate. They are afraid and terrified to be asked questions that maybe another news outlet doesn't send them first. We're not going to send you nothing. We'd love to have Heath Kirby and Wayne Lyles on for a sit-down interview and tell us why you think you'd be the best fit for the superintendent of DeKalb County.
And Brian Thomas.
And Brian Thomas. We love.
Running, but
Yeah, we'll have him on too, though. But Joshua Schultz, do y'all know him?
No.
He made a pretty rude comment, but I'm gonna let you respond to it because you should be able to. While we're on here, y'all can't see my screen. He said, "Is Wayne Lyles paying you to do this since we are close to election?"
no, we've never even met the man until this incident.
No.
And he removed himself from what y'all said, correct?
Correct.
Robert Black said, "If this is such a traumatic experience, why did it take months for the video to surface?"
The
did.
video has been there ever since
Yeah.
the day it happened. Because I got the video that night, I think, and multiple people sent it to me. Not just, multiple people sent us the video.
We are the ones that got the 2 different views because our child was the one that was assaulted. And
Yeah.
all his friends that was there in the classroom that took the video, that recorded it, they sent it to him, and he sent it to us.
Well, I've had multiple people on Facebook.
And I
send me
waited
different
till
ones,
after
too.
the board meeting before I started exposing this publicly, because I was giving them a time, and chance, and opportunity to hear this out and to make the right choice decision in this matter. And it's up to them whether they do or not. And I hope they do.
And like we said multiple times, our problem's not with the fight. I mean, the other side's family thinks that we're after their child or whatever but we're not. I am a little upset that my child was sitting in a desk, not able to defend himself. If you're going to fight, let's make it fair fight.
I get that.
Because our child had he couldn't even stand up.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're going to fight, but they're going to fight. They're kids. And I'm not going to say my child was not running his mouth. He may have been.
And that's what I said immediately. Not,
Yes.
I don't know. Again, I don't know y'all.
Yeah, but
I
it's a
know I run my mouth
16-year-old boy.
sometimes. So I'm like, all right.
Exactly.
And there's been times I'm like, I might deserve to be whooped a little bit.
But just because you're running your mouth don't mean you deserve to get jumped and not be able to defend yourself.
Yeah, not legally. Like maybe you deserved it,
Correct.
but not legally. You
Well,
don't. That don't
right.
check out. And then but also you shouldn't get to play football and do all this really cool stuff after you do it. That's
Exactly.
my opinion on that. Now, if your son was talking a whole lot of trash and then all of a sudden they got into a fight, well, the guy decided to hit him. Sometimes if you talk trash, you're gonna get hit. It's gonna happen. I have been hit. But now also on the other foot, it's a fight. That's assault. We do have a First Amendment right. I can say whatever I want, right? Now I can say whatever I want. And if it makes you mad, that's okay. I mean, and I'll tell people, sometimes fight me, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, if I'm just talking and I'm not threatening you in any way and you hit me, that is assault. I don't think the kid should have been allowed to play football. Undoubtedly, I think both kids should have been sent home. Both kids should have been reprimanded. I think. Do y'all think the fact that they were both only? Do you think the fact that your son was sent home and you're not sure what happened to the other kid? How much do you think that has to do with playing football? Is that undoubtedly in your mind? Because is he that good of a player?
Yeah, he's a
good player. He's really good. He's a
go-getter. Starter.
You think they chose to just sweep it under the rug for both people because
that, right? And also, like I said, when you decide to do your job and not expose juvenile information that's very heavily protected, and it's not a matter of when you choose to do it. It should be all the time. Like with this situation, he should have reported it.
100% reported it. Yeah, reporting's the least he could have done.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and like I said, since our story come out, I've probably will say 40 people message me saying they've had the same similar incident and the school has done nothing.
And
a lot of
we've had it happen too. We've had people scared to come on.
Very scared to speak up because the Kirbys are well known.
Well, we haven't. Hang on, I want you to keep going on that. We haven't been told that they're afraid just because of the Kirbys. We've been told they're afraid to speak on their school, Collinsville, Fort Payne, et cetera, because my kid goes there and I can't mess up their future.
Well, and
I've heard that.
To pull our kid.
Now keep going. What was you saying about the Kirbys, and then keep going on why you pulled your kid?
They're worried about retaliation.
They're well known. What is that?
The
I've never.
Kirbys are well known from my understanding. They're good friends with people that own, they're well known. They go to church. They have a bunch of friends. And
we've had them on here. We had no trouble. Again, we're still not biased.
Well, we've never had no trouble until this. We've never had no trouble. But I've had several family members or several people say, this has happened. But in my opinion, maybe some of this is the reason why he didn't report it is because he didn't want nothing to ruin his run or his campaign. He didn't want nothing to look bad on the school that he's controlling. Or
the other 35 football players paying for his actions.
I was not there when he said that. I was at work, so I
can see that being a problem too. Now, there has been more than a few people come on here and ask not necessarily disparaging questions, but again, the bullying thing has come up, but I'm going to let y'all touch on a different part of that after this so you can respond. Debbie Thompson said, what are you wanting to happen here? The other child had been bullied by your son for months and finally had enough. The other child is an awesome football player, but that has nothing to do with the fight. He is devoted and hard work to be an awesome player. Why are you making such a mess over this? Go ahead, boss man.
Oh, we've not made a mess over anything. This is more or less on the behalf of Kirby failing to do his job, and he has committed a Class C misdemeanor. It's got nothing really to do other than the only thing I will say that I don't like about that offender and the way it went down was it wasn't an honorable thing. He rushed him. He pinned him in the desk. He hit him several times, and he knew there was enough students in the room to separate them so that when my son got footing, that it would be too late.
I will say that this is not the first incident we've had with this child. Everybody keeps saying our child's a bully. We've dealt with this child for years. It's got to the point where several years ago, we even told them they needed to go outside and fight. I mean, this is not... Everybody's acting like our child bullied him. And I'm not saying my kid's perfect. I'm sure he was mouthy. I'm not saying he wasn't. But we've dealt with this child for years, and he's bullied my son.
And we're not saying he's a bad person. He's a bad kid. He just made a bad choice. And what's reflecting bad, even worse on him, is we've had to go and post this video to get our situation heard. Regardless if he don't want to be in it and it's offensive to them, it's still part of our case. It's part of our evidence.
Well, the thing is, if you had sat there and just held on to the video, no one would have ever said anything. It would have been swept
And we
under the
did
rug.
hold on to it for 2 months.
You're on the Alabama Grapevine. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, boss.
Hey, I'll be anonymous.
Hey. Yeah, go ahead. How can we help you?
I would just like to state, knowing what the policy, they keep repeating that Mr. Kirby did not follow the procedures and what he was supposed to do. There is a set policy, and the policy he keeps reading, whether it's from the state or wherever it is, the school policy is what principals in this county, teachers in this county, that is what they have to follow. That is what he followed. As far as reporting, he doesn't have to report to the superintendent, to Dr. Thomas. That's how it works in this county. So if there's an issue, maybe policy needs to be changed, but the principal followed board policy.
I would disagree with you there 100%.
I'm sorry you disagree, but that's what board policy states.
Well, it's also a Alabama law too. Alabama is a no harassment, bullying, hazing, intimidation. It is not stand for it all, especially when you have a star football player that makes a mistake like this. It should have been handled a lot better, and he's going to have to answer for what he's done.
I understand, and you advocating for your child is 100%, 150% what you should be doing as a parent. Any parent that cares about their child is going to advocate, because who advocates for them? It's their parents. It's obviously people in important positions as well. But what is happening here, this person followed the board policy. You're quoting things, state misdemeanors, things with the law.
Well, do
This
you
is what the
understand that
school
state is over
follows.
county, ma'am? State
But
is over county.
school systems are different. That's where all that gets tricky. And I think if you read that, you understand now. If you file something separate, absolutely, then it goes even farther. But a principal in this county has a policy that they have to vote on or follow, and it's voted on every year by the board. So that policy, maybe that policy needs to be changed and rewritten, but policy was followed. Black and white.
I still
I
don't agree
don't
with you.
understand how the policy was followed when there was nothing done.
Mhm.
So you're
How
telling
do
me
you
kids
know that
can just,
nothing was done?
we've been told by several people, even on the other side, that there was nothing
Well,
done.
if he could come forth and have proof and evidence that he's done something in regard to this, maybe he has something, but I don't think so.
This just
That's
looks
where
like
you also get into a tricky situation, because you start infringing on students' rights. An administrator, a teacher, and that's not just with discipline, that's with any issue in the school. That's confidentiality. Whether a child received punishment or they're receiving outside counseling, anything to do with those types of matters are
Well,
confidential,
well,
and you
then-
infringe on other students' rights.
But
and you
now,
can't.
one second though. But we do know 100% fact that kid played football in back-to-back games,
Exactly.
correct? That's a fact. That's like on probably
Yes.
all sorts of.
yes.
So can
Well,
you
let's just
touch on that?
hypothetically speak, if there were 2 kids or 3 kids or 6 kids involved in a situation, do you believe that if 5 kids of those 6 kids that were fighting and they all received the same punishment, do you believe that one of those 6 kids should also receive a more severe punishment and not the same as the others if they play sports? And if you do, that's fine, and that's an opinion to have. But
Can you
typical,
reframe the question, because I don't understand what the question was. I'm sorry.
The 35 football players.
Is it about the 35 football players paying for
No,
his
I'm-
act?
That's what it's about.
That's what I'm.
what I'm stating is, if a child was involved that played football,
Yes.
and let's just hypothetically say there were 6 kids in a fight, and one of those kids played football, and of those 6 kids, they all received the same punishment for fighting. But then do you also think, okay, but this one also plays football, we're going to take it a step farther and punish him more?
What I think
Because
should
he
have
plays
happened is
football.
they should have been
I see-
suspended or expelled.
I s-
and
Yeah. Go.
And that was a choice. That's a choice in policy too. You can, and whatever happened.
I see
whatever
what
the
you're saying for
punishment
sure.
was, but
I
the
see what you're
policy
saying for sure.
states
But
corporal
if
punishment
neither
or
of them were
suspension.
punished, if neither of them were punished, and one kid was sent home, and then the other kid was allowed to go about life as usual after they did get in a fight, it's very clear he did attack a person. Then I think 100% he should have not been allowed to play ball, especially considering what that means to him. Like I like video games, you know, and if I was when I was younger, if I was bad, I got video games took away from me. I didn't play sports, so
Absolutely.
it's different.
Absolutely.
So yes,
Got
I do
yes,
think
I
that
understand that
yeah,
as
that
well.
yeah.
Absolutely. But when you're following a policy, which is what a
What is the policy
teacher
for
or
violence at school, in your opinion?
it's not an opinion, it's in black and white
Yeah, yeah.
in the
Give me
board
the
policy.
Give me. Say there's a fight at
Well,
school. Two
I
kids get in
don't
a
have
fight.
it in front of me. I think you have a choice of corporal punishment or there's suspension. There's not one clear thing. There's, several that can be followed. It's this or this or this. And whatever was chosen or not chosen, whatever punishment was handed out, or if no punishment was handed out, that's not the public to know, I guess, unless you administered the public punishment or you received the punishment and you told what your punishment was. Now, of
Okay.
course, that happens.
So
Kids go and say, "Hey, I was paddled," or "I got suspended," or whatever that may be.
So this way is there's a way right here we can do this for sure without naming any names. Neither kid was punished, as far as we're all aware. Correct? Your kid didn't get punished.
Our kid didn't know.
The other child didn't get punished, right? So to some people, a lot of people, it does look like that might have happened so the one kid could play football. It looks like it might have been swept under the rug that way.
That's right. That would appear that way if we don't know what the punishment is. But
we know
can't
this.
reach out to the assistant principal.
But
or
y'all's
we
kid
can't
wasn't
reach
punished.
out.
Exactly.
Y'all's kid wasn't
No,
punished at
he
all.
was not.
We know one kid was not punished because their parents are speaking out about that. But the other two parents, we don't know if they were punished. They've not come out, and that's their right to not disclose that information.
Well, maybe
with
they
their
can
children
come
if
on
they were
here
punished.
and tell their side of what they want
But
to say.
they really, at this point, they're children, and these are juveniles and minors. They shouldn't have to do that. They
Right,
shouldn't have to put
exactly.
their children, like Mr. Blalock has stated, that child, he has said, they were friends and they, want the best for him, and maybe they don't want their child exposed, and that's a parent decision.
Correct. And
Okay.
I agree.
But
with
that's
that.
part of our evidence,
Yeah.
and it proves that Kirby is not capable of doing his job.
Well, again, you just go back to he has a job to do and he has a policy that he has to follow for that job, and he followed that policy.
I understand.
Now, if
I
you
appreciate
don't like that policy, then that's where policy needs to be changed. But I think you may have heard before,
We'll just
that
see how.
school
We'll
policy
just see
is
what
school
the decision is from the Dekalb County Board of Education and the board members
No, and I'm
thereof.
very curious as to why they've not reached back out to you
How-
with.
My question is,
Yeah,
how-
why would they have? Now you were going to touch on it, so you were saying you were curious as to why
I
they have.
can't answer that. I can answer that.
That is a strange thing to see. I hate to.
I mean, why they haven't reached out, I have no idea. I'm not
Yeah.
a member of the board. I have no idea.
I
But
got
it
you.
takes a little time during the investigation and to make sure that all their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed when they fire somebody that needs to be
Maybe
fired.
that's correct.
If
Maybe
you
that's
if you
correct.
speak to Heath Kirby or Wayne Lyles, tell them we would love to have a debate between the two of them for them to tell us why they are the best fit.
There was
for,
a debate I noticed last week, and
No.
none of those people showed up.
not
so
no.
maybe
We
you
mean
have a
we
great
mean
day.
a real debate, not pre-screen questions. We mean a real. I got hung up on.
Oh wow.
That's okay. Maybe they'll call back. A real debate, not a pre-planned thing with some kind of news outlet in the area. We would like a real debate head to head.
Think about this.
Hang on one second. Hold on to it. Let me catch up. Rachel Kyles, and you're gonna like some of it. Rachel Kyles said, so the issue isn't the child. Don't lose your train of thought. The issue is the principal and how he handled it right. Debbie Anthony said, why would you get on here and lie like you are? Brooklyn Owens said, I thought we were telling the truth on here. If you think, we're saying nothing. If you think they're lying, feel free to call in and speak your piece. Feel free to leave comments speaking your piece,
Sure.
but you have to elaborate. You can't just make a statement. Like, you can make any statement you want, but we don't have anything to go with that. We can't make your statement for you is all. Sarah Vanek said, when your child is involved in the issue, it is the parent's right to know how it was handled. Okay, for sure. Like, I know when we were kids, they were told, hey, they both got suspended.
That's what I was getting at.
Hang on one second. Angela Frank said, if the star player was being bullied before this incident, now then this isn't negative to y'all. She said, if the star player was being bullied before this incident and the principal knew about it but did nothing, we're back to the main problem. It's still the principal's fault for not addressing the bullying that escalated to this incident. Brooklyn Owens said the same thing again. Thought we were telling the truth. Feel free to call in and speak your piece, Brooklyn. John Smith said a school will typically not press charges on a student for a fight. If a principal files a police report for one fight, then they will have to every time to be consistent. If you're wanting more done, then why don't you go file a report and press charges yourself instead? Let me finish up. Instead, principal will typically not press charges for a fight. If they did, they'd have to press charges every time. Neither do they report to the superintendent every fight. Principals are hired to make decisions and run their schools. If you want charges pressed, why haven't you filed a report and done it yourself instead of blaming the school? You have that option. You can respond to that and then also say what y'all were going to say. I'm sorry to cut you off. I was trying to get caught up.
Well, that's neither here nor there. That's coming. I'm just going through the process, and I'm giving everybody a chance and opportunity to do the right thing. And if they fail to do that, then I have no other option and choice but to take it to the next level.
My thing is, if it was handled properly, if there was punishment, yeah, surely you can't tell us what it is, but at least let us know that the situation was handled.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the way we
Both
feel,
were suspended, both were paddled.
Nothing's happened.
And it's kind of shady if you don't want nobody to know who you are and you're calling in with all this information. You know, I mean, why would you really want to? I don't get that. If you're calling in and you're one-sided or whatever.
Now that lady could have lost service. It's very possible. I don't want to say anything bad on people. It's possible.
Mhm.
Very possible. Becky Crawford said, how can you, and I'm going to enjoy the response to this. How can you have a debate without a local news outlet sponsoring? There was a debate sponsored by the Republican Party and both parties did not show up. Kirby was the only one who came. Becky, it's a great question. I don't think you have to have a local news outlet sponsoring it. As far as I know, the only thing, how do you say it? You don't have to have a local news outlet sponsoring it, especially if they're already biased to one side or the other. I have no attachment to Kirby. I have no attachment to Lyles. I think it would be straight by the book, and we would do the best questions we could, and we would take questions from you guys. There was a debate sponsored by the Republican Party. They're both Republicans, so I can see that not being a big deal. I know Southern Torch tried to do something with like maybe a debate. Maybe was it a debate?
I think it's a forum.
They called it a forum. People are so afraid of the word debate, right? These guys came on here, spoke their piece. Everything wasn't glowing their way, right? I didn't come out here and be like, you guys are awesome. I know that didn't happen. That's how this works. There's people that called in that clearly didn't agree. There's comments that didn't agree. There's some that did. That's what a debate is. It's just got to be someone that's willing to step back and ask just questions. Just ask questions. Like all I would do if Wayne and Heath Kirby decided to debate would be click buttons. If one gets too long-winded, I'd cut them off and let the next one go. That way everybody has adequate time. But people are afraid in this area of debate. Kirby has some hard questions thanks to you guys. There's going to be other people that have hard questions for Kirby. Lyles has some hard questions thanks to people like you, but on the other opposite side of that spectrum. Now, you've told me this wasn't a political thing. It was just you got angry, right, after it was handled the way it was.
Well, I didn't get angry until I gave him 2 chances to make this right. And he said, I'm sorry you don't agree with my decision. That means that he made his decision in this matter. He supported it and he stood by it. So then therefore I have to take it to the next step.
And on our view, it looks like he made the decision to do nothing.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's how it looks because your kid wasn't
Exactly.
punished. And here's what now some people would say, well, why can't you just be happy that your kid wasn't punished? It's the reason.
No, if
the
my
reason
kid
why.
needed to be punished,
If
Yeah.
it
then
was
he
their
should have
kid,
been
they would want.
punished.
Yeah, the
They would
reason
want
why,
it right.
if your kid got
Yes.
beat up at school and nothing was done, you'd want to wonder why. If all of a sudden it turns out that kid's very good at football, you would start to get at least fishy about it. You'd at least be like, hey, what's the issue? Tyler, Becky, one more time, said the questions were anonymously submitted for the forum, but the people they were anonymously submitted to were biased people, and that's where I'll leave that. We've
reached out to several news stations, local, and nobody would talk to us because,
Way 31.
well,
Way
they're
31.
the only
Well, no,
ones-
she means local, like
I mean,
like
Southern
us right
Orange,
here.
Yeah,
Times
there's
Journal, you
nobody local.
guys,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to speak to
Well,
us.
there's 8 news outlets local or something like that, maybe 10, and 3 of them are not owned by Southern Torch Media. So
Exactly.
so what do we, so I'm not saying they're biased. I don't know if they are or not, but in my opinion,
I'll say I think they are.
there you go.
But we've been told by several that they are.
If
They're
they do,
friends and they hang
if
out
they
often.
associate and stuff, and that's
Yes.
why they're not touching it, that's wrong. You're
Mhm.
reporting the news.
Mhm.
If there's anything you're not reporting on because you're friends with someone or because, it'll make me look good if I associate with this guy or oh, yeah, this will make me more powerful to associate with this guy. So I'm not going to say anything about that. That's where things do kind of get strange. Am I saying they're doing that? No. Do some people think they are?
And that's what I was saying a while
Maybe.
ago when you said strange. It's strange that you want to remain anonymous. That means there's somehow, some way, there's something in there that you don't want your name exposed to the way that you're coming from, because it's not right.
I understand. We would be super fair with both parties, both guys, all the time. I don't. For me, my kids are homeschooled.
Yeah.
What does it affect me? Who is the
Right.
superintendent of this
Right.
county?
Well, I mean, and it ain't even
Nothing.
gonna- I mean, our kids
Short
are
of, I have friends in the
virtual.
school, and I would like for them to have the best possible, set up for success.
Right.
So I'm gonna let us get off here. If you think I missed anything, if you have any parting words for everybody at home, if you anything I missed, feel free. Mike's y'all's. I'm gonna cut. If you think I missed anything, hit a question, whatever. I'm gonna cut the mic down. Appreciate y'all coming on. Right, it was awesome. It did it gave me the opportunity to have you on. It got people on, which is great. It brought attention to an issue, which is great. It gave me a platform, right? It seems like I gave y'all a platform. Y'all gave me a platform to use, and it's so incredibly appreciative. I got to throw mine in there.
Mhm.
Love to invite you guys out for a debate. So I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Very cool, man.
Thank you for having us.
No, super. So now some of them questions were hard, and y'all were very no, that's not it. Y'all were very professional about it, regardless of how everybody else feels. 1 second. Becky Crawford said, "Why does it matter who owns the news outlets? Could Way 31 be biased since they're the only ones who reported the story?" Becky, if you don't know why it matters who owns the news outlets, then we're gonna have to have a much longer conversation at some point live, probably, or we'll have to ask around. It definitely matters who owns the news, because that's who determines what gets put out. What is it in war and stuff? The victors write history. It's not so much that here, because there's no war going on. Someone just got some money before somebody else did. But aside from that, it 100 million% matters who owns the news, because if not, we're not going to hear every story. That's my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions too. We appreciate you being here, Becky. Guys, go ahead. Anything you think I missed?
Oh, I appreciate it. There will be more to this to come. I promise you. And I'm not going to disclose of anything else at this point. I think I've disclosed enough, and I think people have a real good understanding now. And, I don't wish no ill will, but I'm going to see this out, because he was given a chance and he refused. So I'm going to do what I've got to do now. And I'm not coming after no child. I'm coming after the person responsible for making these decisions. And that's the Sylvania principal, Heath Kirby.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. How about you, Mom?
I just want to say that again, it's not about the child. It's not. It's about the leadership in the school. If he did say follow policy, how do we know? We should have been reached out and just said, "Look, I handled it," or "It's been dealt with per the policy." Because with us, and our kid, he feels like he got jumped, and even the kids at school look like they can go in and have a fight and not be punished.
Play ball the same day?
That's a problem.
The same
Yes.
day you get to play ball.
I understand that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, brother. I'm going to let y'all off here. Thank y'all so much.
Appreciate you, buddy.